friends and family. If I look crazy, that's because it's literally like 2:30 in the morning right now, and I should be sleeping because I have church in the morning. But I've been trying to sleep, and I just can't. And I feel like God has really been putting a lot on my heart. But there's just one thing that I've been thinking of lately, and it's about trusting God through the process. I have a lot of trust and faith in God, but sometimes when things get really rough, it could be hard to just trust Him completely, and to trust not just trust Him, to trust the process. You start doubting, and then you have people in your ear, making it worse, you could say. And yeah, it could be really hard. But so I'm just gonna speak on my situation right now. So, for instance, I live in an apartment complex, which is not the best neighborhood. I live in what you call the projects out here in Florida or Tampa, whatever. And there's a lot that goes on here, like shootings, fights, just nonsense, a lot of domestic violence, children running around all day in the parking lots. And at first it used to be like, oh my gosh, why do I live here? Why do I have to live here? Constantly complaining about where I'm at. And even now, I still think this to myself, but the difference is that you're allowed to feel how you want to feel, or how you feel, and you're allowed to think whatever whatever you want to think. But the thing is, are you gonna let that thought overtake you? Are you gonna continuously think that, or are you gonna think, yeah, I'm here and I hate what's going on, but at the end of the day, God has me here for a reason. Because if He didn't want you, if He didn't want you in that place, then He would take you out of that place. So that could very easily be the situation, or it could also be you're holding yourself back from getting out of that situation, which I feel like is what happened with me. Well, is that's what happens with me, is that sometimes I'm always beating myself up, like, did I put myself in this situation? Am I here because of something I did? Am I, not spending enough time with God? Is there something that, I'm not being obedient with? Like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I still here? Why am I still here? Constantly questioning that over and over. And the first thing I want to say is, like, stop beating you. Do not beat yourself up, because one thing that I've learned is that God has you where He has you for a reason, and I'm here for a reason. So although I don't want to be here, it's not the best place for my kids. God has me here for a reason. And so like, for example, there's a lot of couples here, like I said, that go through domestic violence. One, they're not even married, so that alone, anyway, but there's a lot of domestic violence, and me being that I've been through domestic violence myself, that's a I'd say like a soft spot in my heart, and something that, I know God wants me to intercede when it comes to those situations. And, just the kid, like I said before, about the kids running around and no parental supervision at all, the shootings and all that. And, these are things that God wants you to pray about, stop being so selfish and thinking it's all about you and what you want and where you want to be and why you're still here and why and why, all these questions about why you're not in the next place you need to be. But God has his perfect timing. And so it takes a lot of patience, a lot of growth, a lot of spending time with God, and being in his word, praying and just spending time in his presence, because patience is not something that you can have on your own. Like, you can try to be as patient as you want to be, but it's really not gonna it's not gonna happen that way, because I've tried to be patient on my own, and it's impossible, because I'm a person, before I got saved, I was never a patient kind of person. I want it when I want it, and this is what I want, and that's something that God has to literally mold and change within you. And it takes time. You don't just wake up the next day and say, you know what, I'm happy that I'm here, and you know what, golly gee, it's not like that at all. So going back to what I was saying about when people are in your ear, how it can make the process feel even worse. I had one a few months ago. First of all, I don't even like telling people, my business. I don't even like speaking to people, period. I don't like speaking to people, definitely from my past, that they'll probably be really judgmental and be like, you have 4 kids, you're a single mom, you moved from New York to here to there to that, you have X amount of baby fathers, and all these different things that people could say. But not only that, you're following Christ, now you're following God, and he they would like to say he has you in this kind of place, in this environment, what kind of God is that? And I would never, and for me, I feel like, I hate when people say things like that, but I know that it comes with the territory. I know that it, it's gonna happen, but sometimes I don't know how to respond to that, obviously in a loving kind of way, but sometimes it could be hard to just reply to that comment or whatever. So anyways, one time there was someone who said, oh, you need to get out of there. It's not a good place. It's not a good environment for you and your daughters. And I got so angry at the person. And I was just like, you do you really think I want to be here? Like, if I had a choice, I'd be in, my home that I own, with a car and all this extra stuff. And, my kids will have whatever they want to have. And, if they deserve it. But, you know what I mean. And it's just like, if it was up to me, my life wouldn't be this way. But God knows what you need and what you don't need. What I want may not be what I need, And so, that's what I just want to encourage you guys to just think about. If you're going through the same thing, you're going through a trying season, or you've been going through this for a long time, because I could say, me personally, I've been here for years, and I thought that I would be in these apartments for just a few months. I've been here for years, and for like I said, you have this season where you're like, you know what, I know God's gonna get me out of here, I know I don't belong here, and then sometimes you're like, why am I still here? What are you doing? Like, why are you taking so long? And it's like, don't rush God, because like I said, his timing is perfect. And he could probably, he's probably setting everything up and the perfect, for everything to be perfect, when you arrive, everything's already set up the way that it needs to be set up, he does everything behind the scenes, and you have to allow him to do that. And you can't allow what people say to discourage you. You know, you have to stay encouraged, and that's why you have to stay in His Word. You have to stay in relationship with God, because if not, it could be really easy for people to discourage you, to just make you start thinking all these things. Because when that person said that to me, it made me angry at that person, and then it also made me start getting angry at God. Like, you know what, He's right. Why am I still here? You know, why do you still have me in a situation? Why am I in the environment where it's dangerous and my kids are in danger? But honestly, we're not in danger, because if we are children, if we're God's children, and we're following Him, and we're doing everything that we know we're supposed to be doing, regardless, God is going to protect us. So am I going to live in fear every time I walk out the door? Am I going to live in fear, when I'm coming home? Am I going to be, you can't live like that. God doesn't give you the spirit of fear. The enemy does that. So I'm going to stick by what God says, and I'm not going to live in fear. I'm going to trust that, I'm here for a reason. I'm going to complete whatever assignment God has me do while I'm here. Because like I've said in previous videos, I've put myself in situations where I haven't been obedient, and I have been, playing around with my own life, basically, where I go in this back and forth thing where, I'm going to be obedient. I'm just going to go back to my old ways. I'm going to be obedient. Let me go back to my old ways because I feel uncomfortable. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired. You get weary, and that's a dangerous thing to do, because every time, that's another video, it's another topic. But, it's a dangerous thing to do, to go back and forth. You don't want to do that, because every time you do that, it's harder to get out of each time. So, with that being said, I just lost my train of thought. So yeah, like I was saying, you don't want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm just gonna continue doing what I know that God told me to do. And I'm just gonna pray until I can't pray no more. And I'm just gonna, when you complain, also, that's another thing. When you complain about where God has you, you're also holding yourself back, because, God wants to grow you where you are, because he's molding you into the person that He needs you to be. And you need to be strong. You can't be weak. You don't know what's the next season. People are so in a rush to get to the next season, the next blessing, the next breakthrough. But have you completed what God has told you to do? Why are we so in a rush to get to the next thing, when the next thing might be harder? You might get the house that you want to get. You might get, whatever the blessing is that you've been praying for and believing God for. But you don't know what that's going to come with. It might be a good thing. It might be a better, the job that you've been praying for, but your boss might be meaner or, you never know. So, I just wanted to get on here and just talk to you guys about that quick. I'm going to try to go to sleep because I have to go to church in the morning. And maybe I can, now that I've released this off my chest. And I hope that it encouraged you. I challenge you to complete the assignment that God has given you in this season. And I'm going to be doing the same thing, so don't feel like you're alone. If you ever want to reach out to me, we're in this together. I love you, and I hope you have a great day and stay blessed.